Should start showing here shortly.
There we are. It's on.
There it is. It says it's live.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. So now we'll wait and just wait a minute here and let some people
Two people
join in before we start. Oh, well, you're up to 5. Ooh, let's watch the numbers roll before we get started here. So maybe so, maybe no. But let's see. What's the numbers up to, boys?
7.
Ooh.
Great number.
Mm-hmm. What are we up to now?
9.
Oh.
100. Just kidding.
Wouldn't that be something?
If, everything would start crashing.
Sam would lock up for sure.
No shit, right?
It'd be.
Yeah. We need to have a sign like we hold up. Stand by for technical difficulties when Sam's thing freezes up. Shit.
Oh my God! Yeah.
That way you can see it. Maybe maybe you can.
Yeah. All right. So we're up to about 13 or so right now, so we might as well get the party started. So welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Behind the Mic Show. With me, as always, we have, and it is 1993, Brian Big Daddy Lane. He's got the shades on. The Oakleys are in full effect. And with us again, of course, as always, Brian Delaney, probably with a fresh crack, so that's fantastic. What are we sipping on tonight, D-Man?
We have a little bit of Driftless Glen, cast strength. Driftless Glen is a distillery up here about an hour and a half from here, kind of by the Dells, actually, Wisconsin Dells. So nice distillery, just opened up a few years ago.
I see.
Outstanding.
Very good. All right, Lane, how's things in your world, man? By the way, everyone that's watching, congrats and hello to Adam Williams. Good to see you guys. Glick's on here. Kendall Forth. We've got all sorts of people, so welcome, everybody. Up to 20 now. Awesome to see. Big congratulations to our co-host, Brian Big Daddy Lane. You want to tell them what's going on in your world, Lane Pie?
The job change?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. New job starting up. All good. Staying in the same industry I'm in, but getting ready to start in 2 weeks. So looking forward to it. Coming back to Illinois working, so it'll be good. And just and on a side note, today, Sam Delaney, I woke up feeling dangerous.
Oh my gosh!
Like Baker Mayfield.
Just like Baker Mayfield, we're going to talk about
dangerous.
That. Absolutely, yes. And while we've got everybody here, the shirts, the new ones are in. As you see, I'm sporting this bad boy right here. It pops, baby. It pops off the black, doesn't it? I mean, there it is. On the back says BTM. So to those of you that were nice enough to contribute during the Christmas bracket, I have them. If you're outside of Florida, I'll be sending them this week. Get them to you. And then if you are in Florida, I'll be in Florida on Saturday afternoon. If you can be around, and then we'll save on shipping. Or those of you that did get, obviously you get the shirt. But if you want to buy a shirt, if you're in Florida and I'm there, it'll just be $15. If you're outside of Florida and I have to mail it, we'll put on like $5 for shipping if you would like one. I've got a bunch of shirts just to cover that. So Angela Baird Vincent asked, does mine have sleeves? That is optional. So if you want to be a part of the gun show, then you can cut it out. But I do this for Colin Dickey. Delaney, he gets upset when I don't wear sleeves. I know. I got a rep to keep up with Dickey. If he's still awake, I'm not sure.
No, there's no way.
But no, they do come with sleeves. So if you want to take them off, that's up to you. But Angela, I tell you what, with the way you're knocking it out in the gym, you probably need to go sleeveless. You need to show off the success.
Absolutely.
So,
you could cut the sleeves off for someone if they request, like a celebrity signature or
I think
sleep
I
better.
was exactly thinking the same thing. Sam should cut the sleeves off, autograph it in those like silver Sharpie markers, and number them.
And see, that's why you guys are here. Number one of how many? It's like a collector's item.
Oh, Sam, you should give it. It's one of 17. You go 1 through 17.
Ooh, maybe we only do 17, and then it's really something. Yeah, wow.
Something. Yeah.
Yep. And then maybe like back in the late 80s, the slits in the back of the shirt as well, so you can breathe. So
Exactly.
Yep. See, all the time, folks, all the time we get ideas. So that's awesome. So, so once again, welcome everybody. And we want to start off tonight's show. One, we have, it's not official yet, but we want to thank Bill Atwood with North Wayne Insurance Agency. He was with us before, on our earlier shows, and he's going to continue with us, sounds like, so that's awesome. So for all your insurance needs, if you're in, I don't know how far the guy goes. We're going to have him on the show at some point because he's funny too. I enjoy the man. But he is in Florida, of course. He's down in Sisney. So for all your insurance needs, and if you're in Sisney, I guess you would need insurance for your fields.
Tractor?
I don't tractor. I don't know what else is going on down there. A cow in the field. I don't know. Do you need insurance on a cow, Lane? You're the brains of this group.
I haven't researched that yet, but I'm sure.
Okay, we'll look into that.
Sure
We'll get back
Bill
to
has
that.
a policy.
Yeah. So we definitely appreciate that. So you'll hear Bill's name throughout the show. Once again, folks, we will not have commercials. We refuse. So we'll just mention as we go through the show and keep things flowing, just like, Stu Gotts does with the Dan Le Batard show, if you listen to that. So also, we want to point out that the University of Kentucky, their basketball team, beat the Florida Gators. Congratulations to them. You're 2 wins away from 500 now, so they're climbing. Great job, Kentucky, which also leads us into another sponsor that we have. The sponsors are coming out as fast, guys. So
That's
make
amazing.
sure and appreciate this. This is exciting. We have this podcast, this show, but also our buddy, good friend of the show, and a huge UK fan, J.R. Lewis has a podcast. A lot of people don't know that, so we're going to try to help him out to get it. And the J.R. Lewis podcast, the titles he's told me is called From the Bench, because apparently, that's where his view always was when he was in high school, because he never played. So that's why he has a different interpretation of sports. So congrats to him, because his view was always from the bench. So congrats
Very
to
unique
him,
angle.
Kentucky
Very
Wildcats.
unique.
What's that?
Very unique angle. Like
It is.
It's a different
scrotum level.
perspective.
Yeah.
It's a different perspective. It really is.
It is, and we wish him the best on the podcast. We hope to be on it, and maybe he in turn can come on it. And also, basically, as he likes to put it, if you want terrible sports takes, listen to my podcast. So that's awesome. You got to love it. So yeah, JR,
It's
congrats.
honest. Just honest.
Yeah, it is. It's honest, hard hitting. He's never right, but good for him.
Right.
So, no, it's nice to see Kentucky do something. So that way, J.R. Lewis has something to look forward to. Travis Cooper, besides taking pictures of his farm equipment, can also at least watch some basketball. So I'm excited for both of them, and I hope it continues. Paul Mills, friend of ours in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, big fan. Good for you guys. So congrats. So moving on now, guys. Moving on. Once again, wow, we're up 27. Oh, J.R. Lewis, you hear a lot over there from that bench. Thanks for the plug. That's what we're here for. You know what?
Absolutely.
We used to say, we still do it now, give till it hurts. If we can help you out, JR, and get that podcast up and going, it's what it's all about. So and of course, the vacation spots in the U.S., that tournament has started. Easy wins so far, but for some reason, Destin, Florida is leading over New Orleans. I'm shocked. I'm appalled. Lane, I think you voted for Destin over NOLA. How does that happen? Explain yourself.
Okay, I was in the only time I've been in New Orleans post Hurricane Katrina. The place smelled like a bathroom.
Yeah,
and I didn't care for it. I didn't care for it. So,
Delaney, what are your thoughts on Destin versus New Orleans?
I've never been to Destin. Is it like the Flora place where everyone goes to vacation, like the white trash capital of vacations?
And there goes our Destin, Florida.
All right, well, and our numbers just dropped from 27 to 5. All right, so
Oh, sorry about the people in Destin that are watching.
Yeah,
all the people in Destin just tuned out.
It's funny, Lane, you said that about NOLA. I've only been down there the once, and that was she's like 6 months, 8 months after Katrina. It was just like a war zone down there. And it was disgusting, but I'd like to go back sometime and give it a real chance and smell the urine and enjoy the ambiance and
puke in the street. Absolutely.
Puke in the street,
really experience it all. And by the way, if you're watching, thanks to those of you that are watching, do us a favor. Share it to your page. If you're a member of a group or something like that that's public, share it. And, let's see how many people we can get watching. Do it now. Don't wait. Do it now. It's very simple. It's at the bottom. You just hit share and go from there. But I had an experience in New Orleans. Went on a vacation. I took my mom just to let her get out and see the sights. Went down there. And the one thing that I noticed, like you guys said, is New Orleans stinks. especially, on Bourbon Street and all that. It's pungent, to say the least. But I did notice in that town, it's cool. There's a lot of things to do, a lot of things to see. But what I did notice was when it starts to get of an evening around there, that town gets really weird, and you can feel it upon you, and it's spooky. And that voodoo shit, man, that's real. I tell you what, I was walking, it's just like you can feel the ghosts and the dead people, and it's one of the most haunted towns right in the world. You can feel it on you. And we went on a ghost tour, and they talked about this one side street where they would just murder everybody and all that. But to me, you could like feel that stuff on you. I'm like, you know what? I'm pretty much ready to get the hell out of here. So but I'm sure it's a fun place to party, is what it is. But anyway, so hopefully you're enjoying the tournament. It will continue to progress and go forward. And hey, that's what the people wanted. That's what we give them. All right, so let's move into some sports topics. What do you guys say, huh?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, and it's glad that the people that are on here right now, once again, thanks for watching. We're going to start off with the NCAA championship game that was played just last night. The slaughter that was Bama versus Ohio State. And I watched that with great delight. So, Delaney, your thoughts on that game. You watched it, I assume. What did you think? As a Big Ten fan, what did you think?
Well, I wasn't expecting Ohio State to win. I think they'd hang in there, like Florida did. They have enough horses to do that. Mm-hmm. I just don't think anyone's going to, take over Bama, not this year at least. They're missing a couple of key D linemen. I think that would help. I don't know that it would have helped a hell of a lot, though, the way they ran the ball. And then Smith was he's just Smith that first half. He had, 215 yards, three touchdowns, 12 catches. Yeah, we said it. They cannot cover him. They got guys trailing him. They got Tough Borland for some reason trying to trail him, a middle linebacker trying to cover the Heisman Trophy winner. I don't know what that's about. They tried to run a 4-4, and that didn't go all that well. But I guess that's probably what they thought they had to do with the personnel they had. They have more linebackers than they had, good D linemen, and then they could score a little bit, but they just run out of gas. They just can't keep up with that that offense like that. So I think if they played 10 times, I think Bama would probably win 9 of them too. I just think they're just that good. It'd be interesting to see who sticks around for Bama and who leaves.
Doesn't matter. They just reload. You got 5 stars sitting on the bench. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Well, Derrick Henry's created in the lab, and then they created Najee Harris in the lab too. And obviously they took some parts from someone and put it on Mac Jones's arm. Yeah.
They don't recruit. They just build them in a factory they have. Yeah, that's all there is to it. Yeah, and like like we were talking, they got a bench loaded, full of 5 stars. And once again, if you're looking for a new podcast, J.R. Lewis's View from the Bench, check that out. So, Lane Pie, your thoughts on the championship game last night?
So I go get a drink of water, come back, and Ohio State already has one guy injured. They're Trey Sermon, their running back.
Sermon. So okay, that didn't help either.
That hurts. Yeah.
That hurts Coach Day, because I guarantee you every good coach scripts out at least the first 15 to 20 plays, right?
Absolutely.
So now now Master Teague did a great job. Don't take that away, but I think they had more plays probably scripted for getting Sermon involved and getting everybody kind of to be honest. You bring out Teague comes out, it's a different kind of back, and I think he really had to start coaching and trying to patch everything up from there, and he did. Like Delaney said, they kept in the game for a while. Again, just too many horses. And then to me, once the late second quarter into the third quarter starts going, you really see Bama's offensive line just dominating the line of scrimmage, play after play after play.
Jesus.
Yeah. It just, if it was third and short, there was no doubt. And so that creates problems. And they did. Ohio State had some key linemen out, maybe some guys that would have forced double teams, which wouldn't have allowed Bama's linemen to do exactly what they did on the line of scrimmage. But overall, Mac Jones had time. And again, when you let Smith get free, you're not going to do it. And Najee Harris didn't even have that many rushing yards. They kept throwing him in the flats. They was getting him the ball in space and letting him do what he does. So
that's called an NFL tryout, so all the teams could see what he could do besides run the ball. So Alabama, whatever they want, let's throw him the ball now, so he's got some tape on.
Yeah. I agree. So pretty much what I expect. I thought it'd be a good game, and with Delaney, I thought they'd hang. Some of the people being out and some of the people getting injured, it became a blowout.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now here's the real question is, as we've said before, and now we have to talk about it again. After watching that dismantling, and it was pretty much over by the middle of the second quarter. I mean, Ohio State tried, but with the way the season went, with the number of games Ohio State played, with the way the Big Ten kind of bent the rules a little bit to get their team in. Now, they did beat a good Clemson team. We cannot ignore that. Justin Fields looked like a superstar, right? Yeah. But then you go up against Alabama. So the question comes back, and you see what happens there. Did Ohio State deserve to be in this game?
I mean, I can't name you a team that I think 50% of the time could have beat Bama on a neutral field. So, you might as well go with that. I know, hey, listen, your Gators had an incredible offense, but if your Gators played Bama, it would have been an arena football game. It had been in the 60s.
Yeah, yeah, like you watched the SEC championship game. Yeah, exactly what it was.
Exactly. Yeah. I can't think of a team out there that had a defense that could contain them for a whole game. You may get them for a quarter, but there's just too many weapons. They're going to expose your defense. So, I mean, here's the thing. Yeah, it was kind of done. I'm impressed that that Ohio State beat Clemson, but I couldn't tell you another team you could put on the field and even have a 50% chance most of the time against.
Yeah, I know a lot of people were wanting A&M being one of those teams, but they had a chance. They got their teeth kicked in by Bama, so I don't know if they were a real good option either. I agree with Lane. Whether Ohio State would either be there, maybe not based on number of games and the Big Ten being the joke that it is, and
I'll tell you.
I just don't know.
I don't know if the Jets could have beat them 50% of the time.
It's a good question. Now, here's another question to talk about. Are we at a point with the NCAA? Do we expand the playoffs? Do you go from 4 to 8? Do you think that matters? Do you think that would just be more blowouts? Or do you think that would help the sport? Do you think it would make it more competitive? What are your guys' thoughts on that? Delaney, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted something. You can't do 64 like the basketball, but I'd settle for 8 at this point. I just feel like there are enough people, enough teams, like an A&M, or Florida, for example, that if you have that top 8, upsets happen, crazy things happen. It's crazy. How much money they'd make out of this. Who'd rather watch that than you want to watch the Mac Bowl or something like that?
Well, and let us not forget. I mean, you bring up Florida, but had they not choked their asses off against LSU, and
they would be right
there, taking care of business, and then you only lose to an Alabama by 6 points and went toe to toe with them. The only game that Alabama had all year, you had a real good chance of maybe getting in that Final Four,
Absolutely.
But you choked. So, So could they have been in the top 8? Maybe, but with 3 losses, I'm not real sure about that. Lane, what do you think? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lane.
Yeah. No, it's just that loss just broke their back. They would have had to beat Bama, obviously, to get in. The LSU was just if they would have won that game, I think you could make that case that they could or should have been over there, and certainly ahead of A&M. I think. I know that they beat them, but still, I don't know. That's a different game, different team. 2 months later, too. I think so.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I hope it will one day. They'll eventually cave and they'll go.
Now, Brian Tackett brings up a good point here. Something we can discuss. Tackett is if you want more parity, cut the scholarships down per team, give teams a better shot to get the Bama talent.
Yeah.
Do you think that helps, or Bama, like we said, they create their own. I don't think they really recruit, but Bama gets their choice of who they want. It's to that point. They're so dominant. Yeah. And why wouldn't you go to Bama? You play for national championships. You're going pro. You get coached really well because you could be a team like Georgia that gets all these 5-star athletes, and then you don't do anything with it. The players don't get developed. You don't win anything. But every year, in and out, Alabama is always brings you in, develops you, and you're going pro. So do you think that helps? Do you think that's a good idea?
I mean, it could. Here's the thing. Why is Bama continually good besides the talent that they recruit? Because those guys are scrimmaging against those elite guys all the time.
Iron sharpens iron.
It really does. I mean, you know what? I can, and we always talk about the past, but I mean, I remember just getting obliterated as a sophomore against that senior team. That made me a better player as it went on. Delaney, I remember back in the day, they used to bring in guys that had graduated, which I think is illegal now, but they used to bring in guys who graduated to play against you guys in basketball. You
beat
get
the
better.
hell out of us.
You get better playing against better talent. And I think that's what happens. Those guys, yes, they're 5-star recruits coming in, and some of those freshmen and sophomores start right away, but you're also in those leading up times, you're playing against elite guys that are immediately, are going to go to the NFL. So you're going to get better through time. So some of that is the program building on itself. And then, some of it, obviously if you limit scholarships, more talent's going to go to other places. But again, I think that establishing that program and continually playing that level of talent over and over again creates better teams.
And you bring up a good point about playing the older group and how it makes you better. I remember in 8th grade basketball with Mac Daddy, he took us to play the girls' high school team. And so we go in, and you've got Vicky Campos, who is better than any of us, and you've got Wendy Masters, who was straight up mean, and she had these claws. And luckily for me, she dated my brother, and of course that didn't go well. So she used that as motivation, and she beat the piss out of me for an hour and a half straight. And we got embarrassed. They beat us so bad. It was, it'll definitely get you that frame of mind. Clay Reagan, friend of the show of ours, says expand to 6 and give 1 and 2 a bye each year. Try to expand. Time becomes an issue.
That's not interesting.
True. Like you said, can't go 64, but I do like the bye thing. Maybe give some others a chance. And I do think, with the opting out of players, I hate to see that. I get why they do it. But if you got nothing to play for, if it's a meaningless bowl, who cares?
What are you doing, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, especially if you're going pro. Why risk of blowing out a knee to play in the Bourbon Bowl? It just doesn't make sense. So there is that. But I get why you want to, stick with your team and help them out because, you're supposed to be on a team. But it is what it is. Also, to close out before we move on, that is now 7 titles in 14 years for Nick Saban at Alabama. 7 out of 14. So half the time he's winning a title, which is unbelievable. So can we all agree quickly that Saban is the greatest coach of all time when it comes to college football?
It's be hard to argue against him. Who's next?
Is he tied with Paul Bear Bryant?
Nope, he's one up on him now.
One over, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Bear has 6, so I think it's Well, that's not even include the ones he lost too.
Right.
In the title game or in the Final Four.
And also to kind of put into terms, look at the way the game is now, bigger, faster, stronger players compared to what they coached with long ago, in the 60s and 70s. It's a whole different game. It's a whole different world. And the recruiting that's involved and all that. For him to do this with this kind of consistency, and let's not forget, even when he doesn't win, he's always in the playoffs for the most part. Right. I can't think. I'm sure once or twice he didn't make it, but
the first year or two.
On Bama, every year, number 1 recruiting class, every year, they're going pretty far, and it's amazing the consistency. You would think there'd be, but I don't know if he's going to stop anytime soon. Anything else you guys want to discuss college football before we move on?
Weird year. I'm just hopefully looking forward to a normal year this coming year. We'll see though, huh?
Right. And you know what? Kudos to the NCAA football for the way they handled it. They, for the most part, there was some tests and whatnot, but they kept it going. It gave us some entertainment. Kids got to play, which helps them going forward into the pros. So I think they handled it about as well as they possibly could.
Yeah, they did. Yep. Except for the Big Ten, they blew it, of course, but that's not normal.
Well, that's, death and taxes. Count on it. Yeah. So, all right. So, NFL. So, after our picks last week, we all did well. Lane Pie and I were both 5-1. Delaney with a gentleman's 4-2. Nice job. So we are doing well. We're doing better than ESPN people. We're doing better than people like Colin Cowherd. And it's just not that difficult, folks. We're just that damn good. But in saying that, were you surprised? No, let's just go there. Browns beat the Steelers. Like Lane said, I wouldn't be more surprised if I woke up, my head sewn to the carpet. That game started off with a snap over the head. That game reminded me of the Broncos-Seahawks Super Bowl where the snap went over Peyton's head. He had eyes as big as dinner plates, and that game was over from that point on. The Seahawks thumped him. This was eerily similar. Big Ben was, not the same. And I was texting. We had our little group text going, and I said, this whole game's going to depend on if Big Ben can control the ball and not turn it over. Rough night, to say the least.
He threw an interception like 30 seconds after you posted that.
Correct. Yes. Yeah, and I know you're impressed. But your guys' thoughts on that? How impressed were you? Was it more of the Browns really impressed you, or did the Steelers just play poorly? What do you think? Lane Pie, what do you think?
I think the Browns or the Steelers played poorly, and the Browns capitalized on the Steelers' mistakes. You cannot do those kind of mistakes repeatedly against an NFL team and expect not to come out. You can't spot any team 28 points and expect to come back from it. They almost did. They held them to only 20 after that, which is still, that's 48 points. So that tells you what happened to the game. But I was really just disappointed in how the Steelers played. And I thought all the things against the Browns would give them motivation, but I still thought the talent was there that the Steelers should have took them. Obviously, I was wrong. But, that's the one. I'll take my upset pick of picking the Rams, but then, obviously lost this one.
Right. D, what do you got?
Yeah, I kind of echo what Lane said, that the Steelers, that first snap, that first play, that set that tone. But, you've seen that happen before. Teams, have a terrible play and end up with a quick score, kickoff return for touchdown, and you turn it around. But then they throw a pick, and then the Browns – credit to them, they were able to run the ball. They scored a couple times. They pounded the ball in there and got a couple touchdowns early. So it wasn't just like 3 pick sixes and a fluke fumble touchdown thing. So they played well. Steelers just got they just got overwhelmed. You can see it on their faces, like what the hell's going on? We're not used to doing this. I was saying they're down 28-0.
Right.
I was really shocked how well the Browns offensive line played against the Steelers defensive line.
Manhandled them.
And
they
really did. They threw them around with Cam Hayward and some of the guys that are on that Steelers defensive line. I just did not see that happening again. And they did. They took it to them. And really, we've all been parts of games like this. When that wave started, then the Steelers just couldn't come back. I mean,
nothing you could do.
No.
Yeah, nothing you could do.
The Browns had confidence, and once the guy who woke up feeling dangerous had confidence, it was all over with.
And with a young team like that, if you give them confidence, it's over because they got nothing to lose. As Matt McCoy says, Browns had 100% hope, 0% expectations. You're playing with house money. You made the playoffs first time in forever.
Absolutely.
If you win, greatest thing ever. If you lose, well, so be it. Pittsburgh's a great team. But they came in and just waxed them, and it was fun to watch. That team's fun to watch. They're balanced.
They are.
That running attack is something else. Baker Mayfield has really had a hell of a year. Last year he had a rough one. This year he's really turned it around. And also, as Hackett pointed out, the Steelers talked a lot of smack coming into this game. They had no respect for the Browns. Juju Smith-Schuster running his mouth about the Browns or talking all that, dancing all that. Maybe you ought to focus a little bit more because the Browns came to play and you guys looked bad all night long. So
how many times do those guys need to realize that trash talking? There's 3 games this week where trash talking had occurred prior and it came back to bite them all.
Bulletin board material. How many times you hear it?
You can't do that. Not in the pros, man. Those guys get too mad.
Right.
Yep.
Just shut up. Just
shut up and play. Can't do it. But see, Juju's too busy doing these dancing out there. He's too busy wanting to get videos and build his brand and all this stuff. And I can't believe Mike Tomlin, of all people, tolerates it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, before we move on to the next, is Big Ben done in Pittsburgh? You think that was his last game?
I think he'll come back just to prove himself better than that.
Yeah. That's a tough one to
wings?
go home on.
Who do they have in the wings?
I don't know how much is left in the tank.
Not much.
He was very emotional after the game. So
yeah, he was. Yeah, he's talking to Pouncey saying, "Sorry, buddy." That's on me. I don't know. Like, how do you? That's a tough one to walk away from. That was just a big egg they laid, and he was a huge part of why that egg was laid. So if he does come back, it's good for him, I guess. But Jesus, just hanging up, dude. You got nothing else to prove.
Right. I gonna say you're a Hall of Famer. Yeah.
You've done it.
Is what it is. This game won't be a tarnish on his career. If you walk away now, you're still a Hall of Famer. All right. Colts, Bills. Bills look good. Colts put up a great fight.
Good.
I think the Colts are a quarterback away from really being up in that upper echelon. I see some changes coming. They say Phillip Rivers is gone and somebody else is coming in. So watching the free agent market, what happens there? Colts got some cap room too, but I was really the Bills quarterback and Stephon Diggs. Boy, they're fun to watch. It's really neat to watch the Bills look good. Yeah. Let's see.
But give props to an older guy. Rivers can still deal, man. He can still throw the ball.
Yeah, right.
He moved that offense. He threw for over 300 yards against that defense.
Did he really? I didn't catch that.
319.
But to me, that guy, he's never going to take you to the promised land. He's not. I mean, he's a good quarterback. He really is.
Right. Yeah.
Nothing against him, but to get to that next level, you got to get that next level quarterback, like a Deshaun Watson that's apparently out on the market now for the Texans, which anybody that doesn't jump at the chance of him, you're a fool. I hope the Bears don't because he will just get killed and
he'll get ruined. Right.
They'll ruin him, so there's no point. But other game, Ravens-Titans. Ooh, that's a fun game to watch. A lot of animosity there. Thought there was going to be a fight at the end. Dancing on the logo, spitting in faces. I mean, Lamar Jackson just runs off the field, doesn't shake hands. I'm like, boy, these two teams really. And of course, we know earlier in the season there's a lot of hatred there. But that was, when you watch that game, there was some defense being played there, and there was some hitting. And I thought somebody's going to get murdered at some point. That was old school football to me. Lane, what'd you think of that game?
This is one I picked that I thought would be the great one to watch.
Absolutely.
They don't like each other. This is shades of the old school. This is like Dallas and the 49ers playing. They really don't like each other.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care for the other team, and there is animosity. And even in this game, the coaches don't like each other. So it's even better.
They really don't.
Yeah.
No, great game. I did think that the Ravens were due. They were. Lamar comes through, leads that team. They got dual threat runners. It's just it's a scary, scary team. Nobody wants to play this team.
No.
Nobody wants to play this team in the playoffs.
No, and now old Steven Stringer, our pal, old Pud, has a really good question here. He goes, thoughts on analytics in the NFL? It cost the Colts the win. Analytics and sports all together. Are you guys fans of this stuff? Or are you more on, I guess I'm too old school. I'm not a big fan of this analytics movement. I think you got to go with your gut. I think you got to rely on your players, and, it can't always come down to numbers. Lane, you're the biggest nerd of the group. What do you think? Are you a big analytics fan?
I think you have to have a combination of both. You have to have a feel for where you're at in the game, and then you also have to have an idea of what the percentage and the numbers say you do. Like when you go for 2, when do you go for it on 4th and 1? Is it always when you're past the 50? Can you do it at the opposing 45 if you have a strong defense? To me, you have to read the game, but the analytics is like another thing to pull from. It's another reference, but it shouldn't be your sole reference. I mean, I think you should be looking at how the game feels, how it's going, and you play that as to me, that's your primary factor, and then the analytics becomes secondary. But I don't think you can make a decision solely on analytics. And I know football pulled this from baseball, right? But they're not the same game.
Yeah,
so you can maybe pull and play more analytics in baseball than you can in football. But in football, to me, you have to read the moment. Whatever your gut says there, see what the analytics say. If you've got a pretty favorable rating, then you go with it, but don't make that your primary.
Mm-hmm. Yep, agreed. But that was a hell of a game. Ravens look pretty dangerous as well, and of course we'll do our picks here in a bit as we move to the next weekend. But I think the Titans failed a lot. Lamar Jackson got outside that pocket a lot, running those options and whatnot. And once he gets in the open field, you can just kiss your ass goodbye. Yeah. He is fast, and he reminds me of Michael Vick. But throwing wise, still, got some work to do. All right, Rams Seahawks. Another. If you like defense, Aaron Donald. That is not a human being. That is a freak of freaks, and quite possibly one of the best overall football players I've ever seen. Both sides of the ball. That guy is somebody that you would build your franchise around. Normally they say that about a quarterback, but to me, that guy is unbelievable. Delaney, what do you think of Rams Seahawks?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see all of it, but what I've seen, it was was he created in the Bama lab, you think, maybe? Or
no, he played at the University of Pittsburgh, I think.
I know, but he was created there, and they just didn't really.
Maybe escaped. Might have escaped.
Right.
Yeah, made it as far as Pittsburgh, and he got tired. Yeah. So, yeah.
I tell you, I think Seattle fans should be worried about where their organization's going. They did not play well. Russell Wilson is, he's the man, but God,
a quarterback is only as good as his lineman.
This is true. Yeah, he got eaten alive too.
Yeah.
Is that because we're going to see the same thing in Green Bay? That's going to be an interesting. We'll talk about here in a few minutes. But the Rams, and especially with what's his name getting knocked out, early, and Goff had to come in with Goff had to come in and play with one arm. They played well, and I think they're dangerous.
And the dude got his thumbs operate on 12 days before, and he's out there throwing NFL passes. I'm like, that's incredible. He didn't look great, of course. Can you imagine your thumb not being – but he still made a couple throws. I'm like, damn, that's impressive. He looked rough early, but ended up doing better. But Lane, your thoughts on Rams Seahawks? You had to love it, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, I loved it. It was a great game. A couple things. The Rams offense looks scary with that Wolford guy. I mean, I don't know how bad he's hurt. I haven't read the reviews or the report yet.
Left in a neck brace. Yeah.
They look dangerous with him. He gave them another dimension that Goff doesn't. And at the beginning, the Seahawks were not even remotely ready for what he was doing. It took him one series, and then he started throwing darts. He was getting outside the pocket, and he was making people scary. On the other end, Aaron Donald should scare every prototypical lineman. Aaron Donald's like 6'2". I think he's 270, 280 pounds. He's incredibly fast. He's as strong as an ox. Now think about this. When you're 6'2", and you're firing off the ball going against guys who are 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", you're immediately under their under their chest plate level, and you're going to push them around. So every offensive lineman, I think, that's on that guy playing him, they're scared because 90% of the time they're at least 4 to 5 inches taller than him. And he's going to push you around. He's going to push around anybody, but when he's got leverage on you, it makes it even that more dangerous. So me looking at a lineman trying to block that guy, I'd be scared to death.
Oh my God! and like you're saying, he's faster than anybody else. He's just one of those freaks. He's like a LeBron James in basketball. It just doesn't make sense. The guy this big can be that powerful, that fast. He's got it all. But you know what, David Gonzalez, that's a racist comment. I don't appreciate it. David Gonzalez said, I need a major tan, blinded by his extra whiteness. I don't appreciate the racist comment. This is a family show, so keep that to yourself. Yeah. And by the way, I got a vacation coming up at the end of February. I think I'm going to go down south somewhere. Maybe
Destin, probably. You'd be a good place to Destin. Be good for you.
I'm not going to Destin. I can't do it. I cannot. I refuse. I will not go to the same place Travis Cooper goes. I'm not going to do it.
No.
So Bears Saints. That's not even worth talking about. Saints beat them. Bears are awful. Blow up the whole franchise and start over. It's just terrible. Yeah, so I don't know if Trubisky's going to be the quarterback or not, but I will say this. I saw Trubisky make some great throws. I saw a wide receiver drop one in the end zone that he threw on a dime that, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, he catches it, might have a different ball game. I don't think the Bears are bad, but I do think they need different leadership. I think they just need to start over. I really do.
Those two plays, and that for quick. That just sort of sums up that organization. They dropped that touchdown, but he couldn't have thrown that any better ball. Literally, it could.
Was beautiful.
But then 2 plays later on 4th down, all right, they're going for it. Look at it, Nagy's letting his nuts hang out a little bit. What's Mitch do? Runs out of bounds short of the 1st down. Didn't even look for it. I was like, are you kidding me?
No.
So that's like right there. It's like, forget it. This is not worth my energy.
Yeah, Delaney, do you know who they needed in that moment right there on that 4th and 2, whatever it was? You know who they needed at quarterback?
Sam Irwin?
No, God, no. Jeez Christ, I get murdered. Yeah. No, they needed Tim Tebow is who they needed right there. He got you 2 yards. Yeah, he went 2-yard beautiful pass.
That would have been a catch. That would have been just a quarterback keeper.
That's right. Probably. Oh, no problem. Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
The other thing the Bears suffered from was the lack of Hakeem Nicks. That guy in the middle makes a difference.
Yes.
And it frees up Khalil Mack more. And so them not having him was a big part of the Bears defense not being as good as it has been in the past.
They hung in there as well as they could.
They did.
After a while, as the offense is like, you guys friggin' do something for us, please. You're throwing 6-yard passes on 4th and 8 or 3rd and 8. You're throwing to the tight end for a 2-yard drag route. What do you think is going to happen? So that's, of course, I just read something earlier. It looks like Nagy's probably going to stick around. So
oh my God,
which means Pace is sticking around, which means we're going to see the same crap next year.
Yeah, he and Harbaugh must have the same agent.
I was going to say, and like the Gators are keeping Grantham as defensive coordinator. I'm like, perfect.
How do you do that, right?
Worst defense in the history of University of Florida. Keep him around. That should turn out well next year. That's what amazed me. There's a lot of football coaches out there. There's coaches that need jobs. This guy, Nagy, for instance, how many years has he been with the Bears? And it's not gotten much better.
It's not working. It's not working.
It's not working. Yes. So try something else. Do anything else. There's plenty of young assistants out there. How about the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs? Why is he not in your office right now interviewing for that job?
Absolutely.
Eric Bieniemy, yeah.
Eric Bieniemy. Thank you. Yes.
He will have a head job this year,
will.
I bet.
Yep. And there's going to be a lot of people that missed the boat on that one. They're going to regret that they didn't bring him in. And there's plenty of other young, innovative, offensive minds, whatever, or collect talent around it. But if you this is the definition of insanity. If you keep doing the same thing and expect different results, you're insane. And that's the Bears organization. It's unbelievable. And they need to go out and get a franchise quarterback, go all in on somebody. I don't know if they've even got the tools to get a Deshaun Watson, the picks. Just depends. All right. Up next, Tampa, Washington. Tampa Tom taking care of business again. Washington, though, had a guy come in, only been around for a little bit off the practice squad to play quarterback as Alex Smith, bless his heart, couldn't go. You hate to see that, but I was impressed with that kid. Now, I will say this. He came in and played well. That kid made himself some money. He's going to get a contract somewhere because he played well. But when you come in like that and there's literally no tape on you at all, those NFL defensive coaches don't really know how to scheme for you. So you can look really good for a game, but give them a couple games of tape. Now they plan for you, and now it's not quite as easy as it used to be. But the kid's a gamer. Yeah, right. The kid's a gamer, and if I'm Washington, do I maybe sign him and keep him around? Alex Smith ain't gonna play forever. Maybe that's your quarterback. I don't know, but were you impressed with Tampa? Were you impressed with Tom Brady in the playoffs?
I thought they played pretty much how I thought they should have. I mean, they should have won that game in my opinion. And Brady still shows he can throw. He's got all the skills. He's got a lot of talent. And they should do something. This next game will be a fun one to watch. But they played pretty much how I expected.
Yeah, that's pretty well. I mean, they had to win. I mean, they couldn't lose that game. Alex Smith's a great story. Even if he's playing, that they can't lose that game. They spent too much money on Brady and all those other clowns. They cannot lose that game.
Agreed.
So it happened like it probably should have. Went down about what you expect. But yeah, credit to Washington for hanging around there.
Absolutely. I was impressed with the effort. I think they've got a good young defense, and I think they are like that quarterback and a couple weapons away from winning the NFC East. Every year and being a competitor. All right, so now it's time for the picks. We're up to the next weekend. We got some great games coming up. So can Delaney catch up? Will Lane Pie and Sammy falter? First game, Browns versus the Chiefs. Ooh, can Baker work his magic? Ooh, in Kansas City. I don't know. Delaney, who you got?
This is the most exciting one? Maybe quarterbacks and
it could
talent.
Be.
Kansas City's played well, obviously, but they're not exactly beating teams by 40 every year. And the Browns got some swagger now. If they had swagger after that first touchdown, then now they're going to carry that into Kansas City. I don't think it's going to be enough. I think they're going to run out of steam. I just don't see Mahomes losing that game there. I just don't. I don't know. I'd be surprised, but I'm going to have to go with Kansas City.
Okay. All right. Lane Pie.
Kansas City. If you want to go over under on total points, I'd go over under on
whatever the number is, over.
Yeah. And over under on margin of victory, I'd actually go under because I'll tell you, the Kansas City defense is not that good. They are not like the defenses of the past they had, and it has to become a shootout. And so that'll
be fun.
To me, the Achilles heel there is that I've never seen Kansas City run out the clock. I said the same thing about Green Bay, and Brian Turner kind of gave me a bunch of stats, but I just don't think those are teams that sit there and can kill the clock when they need to win a game, just to like run out of it. Like, hey, you're up by 5, you just kill the clock with less than 2 minutes. You're going to run your running back, let them use their timeouts and get the win. I don't see Kansas City as that kind of team. So it's either they score or they're a 3 and out, and then that makes them susceptible to come from behind loss.
Agreed. And before I get my point, I want to point out we've been doing this show for 43 minutes. My internet has not messed up yet. It will soon. But I think this might be a record. So to all you out there that are waiting, kiss it so far. So here's my key to the game. If I am the Browns with the running game that I have, they have 2 stud running backs. They got a big physical offensive line. I do as best as I can, eat the clock, ball control, run the ball, do play action with Baker, maybe get him outside the pocket because he can move too. And obviously keep Baker's turnovers limited and keep Kansas City's offense off the field. Yeah, I'm hoping for a low-scoring game. Like Lane said, don't count on that because it's probably going to turn into a shootout. I do think the Browns can play shootout, if they need to, but I think to win, I think they need to control the clock. They need to run the ball. If I'm the Browns, I want to run the ball at least 40 times on Sunday. Eat that clock, keep Patrick Mahomes off the field, and go from there. The Browns' defense is also pretty damn good. But we're talking about Patrick Mahomes here. But in saying that, God, I want to pick the Browns because I'd love nothing better for them to go the whole way. But I cannot go against Patrick Mahomes, so I'm going to pick KC as well. I think that's the smart pick. All right, up next, Bills Ravens. Ooh, this should be fun. Lane Pie, who you got? Ooh.
This is the game I think that's going to decide who's got the better record. I am going to, man,
Ooh, lane pie, the struggle zone.
it
Ooh,
is.
Lord.
All right, I'm gonna go with what I consider quasi upset. I'm gonna pick the Ravens.
Ooh, okay, all right.
It's against everything I think, but I just for some reason I think
Sometimes you got to go with your gut, lane pie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as Pud says, Ravens' most dangerous team in the AFC, solid running game and defense. They're looking good. Talk about swagger. Boy, they got a lot of that going on right now, feeling good about themselves. Delaney, who you got?
This is tough. I've been looking at this like all day. Like, I don't know. But I'm going to go with Baltimore with that defense. Lamar Jackson, that boy is dialed in right now. We'll see how he does, on the road. A tough game there. It'd probably be, 40 below again, whatever. See how he does. But he's just exciting too to watch. I kind of hope they win for that reason. If nothing else, keep watching him play. I think their defense, and they can run the ball well enough, and he makes enough plays that it's close, 30-28, something like that.
Ooh, close one.
Baltimore.
Yeah, might come down to a field goal, something like
yes.
that. Yeah. Yep. You know what? In this one, I love the Bills quarterback. I am a big fan of him. He wears the right number. He's also on a roll. Diggs is phenomenal. They have played well all year. They are consistent. With the Ravens, with their quarterback, with the throwing, I mean, it's up and down. You're not sure what you're going to get. And the Bills are at home. I think the Bills have a great chance. Ravens are doing well, but so are the Bills. And I'm going to have to go against you guys. I'm going Bills in this one. Bills. Yeah. So we might be getting back to Bills winning Super Bowl 4 times in a row and losing every time.
Oh, baby.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wide right.
One out there.
Right.
So,
good for those Bills fans, man. It's been a long time. They're all jumping off cars and breaking.
Just morons. I love it. They're jumping off cars onto tables. The guy shattered his leg the other day, and I'm like, yes, get drunk and hurt yourself. But it's always classic TV. I'm like, Bills coming. Thank you. The Bills Mafia. I believe that. Yeah, they know how to party because you know what? There ain't a damn thing else to do.
I know.
Let's get drunk and act stupid. Let's
go to Niagara Falls and look at that for a little while.
That's right. Yeah. All right, see it. Let's go. But yeah, no, I do think I just think the Bills are, once again, keep Lamar Jackson in the pocket. Here's what I don't get. Lane, you played a lot of football. If you're a defensive end on an option, what's your assignment?
Your assignment's supposed to be the quarterback.
Right.
No, you're supposed to crash every time, aren't you? Aren't you supposed to crash every time?
Yeah, hit the running back or hit the quarterback because you don't let him get outside contained. But over and over, you see that happen, that they go to the running back every time and he pulls it and goes outside. Why do you do that? Pin in Lamar Jackson and let somebody else try to beat you.
The only time you would do that is if you have a true spy playing the quarterback, and most defenses should do that against Lamar Jackson. You should have a spy. You should have that stud, either safety or somebody that walks up and he is just mirroring that guy, and you basically force him to the sideline every time. That's how I would defend him because you want him to throw. If he beats you passing, if Lamar Jackson throws for 350 yards and beats you, okay, it looks like your game plan worked. So, obviously you lost, but you don't want his legs beat you because it's beat so many people. So, it's one of those things. But yeah, I don't get it. But again, I did not play in the pros. So.
Right. So there must be more to it, I guess.
There must be a little bit more.
But yes, I think obviously they're playing, keep Lamar Jackson pocket, make him beat you throwing the ball. You got a much better chance. Let's see. Ryan Martin, as always, will be on here making smart ass comments. Of course, he makes sleeves again. But Ryan, if I look like you, I would wear sleeves too. And then, of course, Delaney, he makes fun of your bed and whatever. But it is what it is. So,
I gotta get background.
Next game.
All right.
The battle of the old men, combined age of like 85 years old for the quarterbacks. Saints and Drew Brees against Tampa and Tom. Who you got? Lane Pie.
Oh man, this is a tough one. I'll make it quick. I'm gonna. It's in a dome, so both those guys won't break. I'm gonna go with Brady and the Bucks. I think it should be a great game, and you shouldn't bet against Drew Brees, but I don't know. Just kind of got a feeling that those guys you're gonna let all of Tampa's speed be out there in a dome, and so I think they got enough skilled players. I think they can pull it off.
Brian Glick brings up a good point. He's of course he's a big Bucks fan, but he said, "Can the Saints beat a team 3 times in the same year? That's tough to do. Very tough."
That's true. That's a good
Arians is
point.
a pretty good
Yep.
coach too.
Yep.
So.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Bucks too. I tell you what, who's got this game, Fox, NBC, they must have the hugest boners right now with this storyline.
Oh
you know?
man, yeah.
Absolutely.
Can't you see it? Two
exactly.
gunslingers meeting in the middle of.
Oh, just match made in heaven, wouldn't it?
Oh,
Just-
there we go.
Yes.
And now
There it
it's
is.
brought to you by Sam's Internet Repair Service. If you have a freezing connection and your voice goes out, contact Sam. He knows everything about internet speeds, domains, and IP addresses. So
There it is. I'm back, baby. We made it 50 minutes this time, and I'm back. So all right. So Delaney, you got Tampa as well.
I think
Yeah. In this, I have not been impressed with Drew Brees. He's definitely running out of time. I think Tampa, once again, it's hard to go against Tom Brady in the playoffs, and this team seems to be gelling. I got to go Tampa as well. And I swear to God, if Tom Brady wins a Super Bowl this year with a new team, good God almighty, that'd be something. All right, up next.
Hey, Stringer's got a good question. I don't know
What's that?
he's talking about. Stringer said, "What's the apparatus that Arians wears every game?" I'm not sure what he's talking about. Do you guys know?
Oh, does he have that? It's I think how he wears his the communication system. He wears it strapped to his chest instead of to his back. I think that's what he's wearing across his chest. I think is the headset is the headset connection and everything.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know why. Maybe he doesn't like it behind. Maybe he wants to sit down. I don't know, but he does wear it across his chest. So he kind of looks like Darth Vader up here in the front.
He does a little bit. Yeah, right.
Right here. Yeah.
Ooh.
Shades of
Wow.
what's next. So,
Wow.
Anyway.
Wow. And Ryan Martin wants to know if I'm going to, because it looks like Mole's probably not going to do his 3-point thing. Then he wants to go me versus you. Ryan Martin, I'm not a shooter at all. There's no point in that. I know you can shoot. It's like me and you going out and, doing, longest drive in golf. There's no point. So if you want to do that, sure. And then maybe you and I can throw the football around too, and I can embarrass the shit out of you that way too.
Yeah.
So it's up to you. But no, I'm not shooting threes because there's no point in that. All right. Final one, Rams, Green Bay. Ooh, this is a toughie. Delaney, who you got?
Dude, I said Buffalo, Baltimore is hardest, but maybe I spoke too soon. I guess you have to go. I'm going to have to go with, Jesus, this is going to make me Reagan puke. I'm going to have to go with Green Bay just because Aaron Rodgers will figure out a way to do something. They do run the ball better. Lane's point about them not being able to run the clock out, that is maybe a possibility that could be a problem. I'll be very curious to see how they try to block Donald and keep him from breaking Rodgers in half, because that defense will keep them in the game,
Yep.
For sure. So whoever's playing quarterback, probably Goff, I guess, presumably, he'll have a chance. He'll have an opportunity to make some plays and keep it close, and maybe take a W. But I think Green Bay will probably pull it out. Again, another close game.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Lane Pie?
I think the Rams with Goff playing just doesn't have the offense to win. This would be a game won by the defense. So I'm picking Green Bay, but I'll tell you what, whoever waits in the wings for Green Bay could be facing a banged up Aaron Rodgers, because I think he'll get hit many times, and I think he'll get hit really hard. And that's something that no Green Bay fan wants. And Aaron Rodgers, like Tom Brady, does not like getting hit in the pocket. And so if he gets smacked around, he's going to get irritated. He'll win this game, but if he starts getting hurt, again, the guy's no spring chicken either. So
right.
I go with Green Bay in this game, but I could see a banged up Rodgers coming out of this one.
Okay. I think Green Bay is definitely going to have a plan for this. I think it's going to be a lot of quick releases, wide receiver screens, get the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands as soon as possible. I would hope some team would be smart enough to maybe leave a running back in to chip, Aaron Donald, a little help maybe would be good. Now I don't know if I want to be that running back. That would be an awful assignment all day. But slow the guy down, whisper in his ear, I don't care, do something, because the dude is wrecking havoc every frigging place. There's got to be something to be done. But like you said, Delaney, I don't think the Rams have the offense to go toe-to-toe with Green Bay. Yeah. I think Green Bay also has a running game as well, which is rare. So they were going to, do that as well. And, the Rams defense will keep them in it, and I think it's going to be a great game. But also, this will be in Green Bay in a very cold environment. And also, we don't know the extent of Aaron Rodgers. And remember, if you watched, He had something with maybe a rib.
That's right.
Stomach.
I forgot about that.
So we'll see if he's limited or not.
You think Donald may aim for that later?
What'd you say?
Yep.
You think Donald may aim for that a little bit? That rib, that lower abdominal injury, whatever it is.
Well,
I would.
Aaron Donald's the one that got injured too, though. You remember?
I would. And by the way, I hate to interrupt, but we have a live report from our on the field reporter J.R. Lewis. Once again, check his podcast out, New from the Bench, or View from the Bench. Just give us an update. Kentucky's down by 14 to the juggernaut that is Alabama in basketball.
Oh,
apparently down by 14. You hate to see it. But yeah, so there it is. All right, so there's our picks. And that's the NFL for this week. Anything else, guys, we want to talk about there?
Well, apparently JR needs a new TV too.
Yeah, through that remote. Boy, that's awful. You hate to hear
That's a
about
shame,
that.
isn't it?
It is. It's a shame. It really is. It's a shame. All right, and so now tonight, in the last few minutes we got, or once again we keep it going. We don't care. We're adult grown men. We do what we want. And now it's time. As the nerd dust sprinkles down upon us, and by the way, another new sponsor that we have, if you're a mid-30s to even late 40s adult male and you want to have figurines and watch Star Wars and things like that, but you don't know how to get started, contact Brian Lane and his Nerd Dust. He will send you a vial of it just to get started because too much sends you over the edge. But he does have 55-gallon drums of Nerd Dust that he will spread throughout your house so you can enjoy all things technology and all things Star Wars. And here we are. Whoever would have thought we'd be doing this? But hopefully you guys have got to check out The Mandalorian. I am not a Star Wars fan. Never have been into it. Besides like Yoda and Darth Vader, pretty cool people. But the rest of it I thought, But if you've not had the chance to watch The Mandalorian, I highly recommend it. This is done well. It's fun to watch. It is basically the Old West meets outer space is kind of how, and I believe that's how it was kind of presented, right? So we're going to turn this over to Lane, who knows this like the back of his hand. But Lane, your thoughts on The Mandalorian thus far, because it had a finale for season 2 that just left everybody just like, oh, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But what are your thoughts on The Mandalorian? What do you like? Is there anything you would change?
Honestly, just to I won't dive too deep into this. We've had a long show, but Jon Favreau, who is the guy who's kind of the creator and the director of this series, is an absolute genius. They go 5 years after 5 years after Return of the Jedi. And you basically following this Mandalorian, Din Djarin, I think's his name, through his adventures, and it surrounds what's called the child Baby Yoda, which ends up being Grogu. Phenomenal cast. It's shot beautifully. A lot of the people, like the aliens and stuff, are actually people in costumes. It's not all CGI. Now, some of the big stuff, obviously CGI, but they did a great job of putting people in costumes, having that real life interaction during the show. The storyline for the first 2 seasons, epic. The people, the kind of the Easter eggs, the little things that they throw in there, amazing. And a great cast. Pedro Pascal is the Mandalorian. Cara Dune's played by Gina Carano, who's absolutely great.
I love her. God, I love her.
You have Carl Weathers, who plays one of the bounty guys who arranges for the bounties. You just have continual great people, and then you have some surprise people come in. If you're a real Star Wars person, I've watched a lot, like the Clone Wars and so forth, the Rebels, the animated series. They have Ahsoka in there. They bring her back. Rosario Dawson does a great job as her. And then building all the way up to the finale. But I thought it's great. The continuity's there, the little Easter eggs, the little things that they bring in to give homage to the old Star Wars is absolutely amazing. And still building in stuff from the Clone War, which with Bo-Katan, if you're familiar with the Clone Wars, she is in this series. They just bring in so many people, so many aspects, tie some things together. Really just an incredible Star Wars. In my opinion, it is probably top 3 best things that Star Wars has ever done. I go Empire Strikes Back is number 1. I'm going to get some hate over this. Rogue One is number 2. That is probably the best storyline told in Star Wars. And this is as good as those 2. So phenomenal show.
And Delaney, you're pretty new to it, so I don't know how many episodes you're into it. But what are your thoughts thus far?
Yeah, I actually watched, my kids got me to watch the first season. I enjoyed it. I watched it when I was a kid, Star Wars. I never got into it much as 2 talking bowling trophies or something that in a bar like in the Sportsman or something like that, or some bar in Florida, some creatures. But I got to tell you, like the kids got excited and watched a couple episodes, and then I got a chance to watch the finale tonight. Holy
dude.
shit! Like,
yeah.
even I was like, holy. Wow, no wonder people are going nuts about this thing.
Oh my God.
You can't do any spoilers, I suppose, but
no, it's too late for that. So if you haven't watched it by now, yeah. So, and Delaney brings up a great point. And Lane, like you said, this is done so well from start. You get hooked early, and it's just shot so well. It has comedy in it as well, little bits to kind of keep, but it's just done. The stories are just, and you can't help but binge watch this crap. Now, granted, if you start week 1 and then you wait to week 2, I like to, and I'll just sit there for hours, just locked in, like, my God, this is amazing. But the visuals are incredible. And like Glick says, Delaney was more into Spaceballs. Spaceballs is one of the top movies of all time.
Yeah, right,
but it's better than any Star Wars movie. I will say that. Come on. That's
in fact, my kid asked my oldest, he's 17, asked me the other day, "Hey, Dad, what do you like, Star Wars or Spaceballs better?" I'm like, "Spaceballs."
Oh,
Spaceballs.
Like,
you're crazy.
No brainer.
He's a big Star Wars fan, so he's more like Lane. He's a nerd, like Lane.
Use the Schwartz.
Right.
Yeah, it's so great.
Exactly.
And I bet she gives good helmet. One of the greatest flights ever. But the finale of season 2, which once again, spoiler alert, but you should have watched it by now.
Yeah.
But Lane, I was not prepared for this. Okay,
No.
as they're getting, I'll call him Baby Yoda forever. But Baby Yoda through this whole thing is fantastic. That's where I get a lot of laughs. The little reactions, him eating frogs, and it's so great. And then how, of course, the Mandalorian gets attached to him. But the whole goal is to get him to a Jedi, where he will be truly taken care of. But whenever the Jedi shows up and just starts waxing ass, I was like, I thought to myself, if every Star Wars movie was like this right here, I would be the biggest, because, my God, he went on, wasn't even using the lightsaber, didn't need it, because he's doing crunching people and doing this. And then he gets to the final robot, and he just stands there like Darth Vader, basically.
Right.
Oh my God, I'm like, oh, and I am like up now watching this locked in. And then, of course, it turns out to be Luke Skywalker, and I'm like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. So it's just incredible. From start to finish. If you haven't watched it, do so. It doesn't matter if you know what the finale is of season 2. It's great.
Doesn't matter.
Give it an opportunity. And I'm just to see what they do going forward. Lane, you as a Star Wars aficionado, what do you see happening in season 3? Where do they go from here?
So
hey, Lane, before you do that, I'm curious to see, did you was your gut feel that this Jedi was going to be Solo?
As soon as the
I mean, not Solo, but Skywalker.
Yeah, Skywalker. As soon as the X-wing landed, I looked at Alex. I said, "This is Luke Skywalker." As soon as
I said that too, but I don't know. I was just a guess. Yeah. I was just hopeful because I didn't know where the timeline is. It makes sense to you probably because the timeline makes sense.
5 years after Return of the Jedi. So
okay, so when you said that makes sense
at this point in time.
Sure.
Yeah. Yes, it was. Yeah, it was great. Where are they going to go from here? They have a couple storylines they can expound upon. They're obviously the last thing you get kind of teasered is the Book of Boba, which, by the way, I forgot. Boba Fett makes a reappearance through this, which
was cool.
All of us hardcore Star Wars nerds, all of the canon says that he did not die in the Sarlacc pit and all this stuff. But we didn't know what Favreau would do. They bring him back. It's excellent. It ends with the Book of Boba, which I think will be a great kind of offshoot of what he's going to do in Tatooine. And then going forward, they can retake the planet of Mandalore, which is where the Mandalorians were from and got beat out by the Empire. There's still this character known throughout Star Wars called Grand Admiral Thrawn, who was like one of the big dogs that had a fleet that was not there during the Battle of Endor. So they could bring him back as being part of the rebel. They did not kill off Moff Gideon, so he's still alive. There's a lot of stuff there that they could still unpack and make another couple seasons that would be absolutely outstanding. So
and by the way, through what you just did, Angela Baird Vincent, who's probably become one of my favorite people, she said, "Is Lane speaking Spanish?" Basically, because he lost me at the turn there. That's where he went off into his nerddom, and he knows it so well. So you'll have to look into that. Maybe as this show stays on, you can just kind of rewind and watch it slowly, pause, look these things up, because I have no idea about. By the way, Ryan Martin acted with a good point here. We need to do this at some point. A movie review of the program. One of the greatest football movies ever made. I am down for that. I think that would be a lot of fun. So let's put that in our back pocket. We got something planned for next week, but going forward, God, what a great movie the program is.
Hey, I'll tell you, bring on John Hurleman for that one, because John Hurleman and I saw it original in the theater before they took the cutscenes out of the guys laying down the road. We saw it live in the theater. And almost got in a fight with four Salem guys.
That's where you went to Salem. Yep, you made a mistake of going to Salem. Yep.
Salem,
Never back in did you go to Salem. You don't do it. You know, and now Angela Baird Vincent's living in Salem. Ridiculous. Traitor, Angela. I don't know why you're living there. It's ridiculous. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. Your dad, I'm sure, is upset with you on a daily basis.
Hey, one last thought I had about the Mandalorian. I tell you what brought me in is Pedro Pascal. He is awesome. An amazing actor. I loved him in Game of Thrones. I loved him in Narcos. Those are two of my favorite shows. When I realized I heard his voice, I'm like, oh my God, he's the Mandalorian? I'm watching this.
So great.
This, man.
Yeah. Really
well, they had
good.
me after they brought Gina Carano in too, though, because
oh my God.
Really paying attention.
Now she put on quite a bit of bulk, right, for this role.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter at all.
Monster.
She gets that look on her face, and I'm sorry to the ladies who are watching, but she has this little smirk that she does, and
But Sam, I have utmost respect because she could totally kick
anybody's ass on that show.
She's really a true fighter. So those fight scenes are normally just her doing her own stunts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that right?
Wow. Little knowledge there. Apparently, Angela says that Mr. Baird graduated from Salem High School. Oh, wow. Well, there goes that theory. So he's probably thrilled. I don't know, but anyway, Ryan Martin, I have not seen that. Dead Solid Perfect. I got to check that out. Is it better than Caddyshack? I mean, for me, greatest golf movie. I don't know, but Caddyshack's hard to beat. But I'll watch it. But yes, love this show. If you haven't got to watch it, make sure to do so. You'll love it. Whether you're a Star Wars fan or not, it is so well done. You'll love it. Up next, we don't have a ton of time. I don't keep you guys all night. We're kind of dropping on viewership at this point once it goes past an hour. But Cobra Kai, we'll just real quick on this. If you haven't got the chance to watch Cobra Kai yet, of course, it's about the Karate Kid movies, but now they're older. They're in their 50s by this point, 40s and 50s, like all of us as time marches on. But if you haven't had a chance to watch it, it's fantastic. Delaney, what are your thoughts on Cobra Kai? Have you enjoyed it? Do you think it's too cheesy? What do you think?
Well, I had avoided it because I'm like, I'm not going to watch this shit. This is stupid. I'm not going to watch this. And then you guys said it's good. You should try it. And so tonight I plowed through a couple episodes. I love it.
Oh, there it is.
I'm like, this is so good. Like, the soundtrack alone is worth it. The shit watching it, and then I'm like, oh, this is so like. It's more like nostalgia, I guess. Obviously, is the whole idea. But I'm going to continue watching this. I enjoyed it. And
John Walsh makes a good point. Cobra Kai is Ralph Macchio's third theory. So true. So true. Yeah, it really is. And what I like about it is, even back when these movies were out and I was a kid, I couldn't stand Daniel. I just couldn't. I thought he was whiny. I thought he was, everybody's a bully to me. And, Johnny was a nice guy. He just misunderstood. And that's what I've noticed to this is Johnny's trying to make amends. Johnny's got a drinking problem. Life hasn't turned. He's stuck in the 80s still. The way he talks, about talking to chicks and the music he listens to, the car he drives, he's still stuck back there. Life, so great. Life has not been kind. Of course, then he gets this dojo going and all that. Ralph Macchio, still butthurt over the 80s. I'm like, what are you butthurt about? You got a hot wife. You got a lot of money. You won back then. You won the trophy. You got Mr. Miyagi. What are you upset about? But, he's still whiner. Can't stand you. I hope, but so it's all kind of flipped, basically for a lot of people where Johnny's likable. Daniel's son, not so much. But what I like about it is the references back to the 80s, whenever we were kids, when life was good. The songs, the shout outs to Mr. Miyagi, I think are cool and touching. I like how the adults are good actors and it's more realistic, and they make the kids kind of act like it's cheesy 80s, with the way they fight and their face expressions. So they give you a little bit of both to me. I don't know if that's on purpose, but it seems that way. But anyway, and like Glick says, so true. December 19th, I don't know if anybody on it or not. It's one of the most important dates on the All Valley Tournament. That's on December 19th. So everybody's celebrating.
That's right.
But this show has taken off. They're in season 3 now. They're over like 40 million views. It has gone nuts. So that's awesome to see for these guys. I think they've done a great job with it. But but anyway, so that's kind of, and of course, I'm also to a point in season 3 now where the hot blonde is coming back around. Her and Johnny are talking again, and I'm like, ooh, it'd be interesting to see how she looks these days, because I thought she was,
Shue?
as a kid, yeah, that's right, Elizabeth Shue. I was always a big fan of hers back in the day,
Sure.
So big fan of that. But no, another fun show. If you haven't checked out, do so. We think you'll enjoy it, guys. Anything else on Cobra Kai that you can think of?
No, it's a great throwback. I mean, let's face it. They got some kind of nerdy, overweight kids learning karate. I mean, hey, that speaks volumes to me from back in the day. I was a little heavy, a little bit of a nerd. So you know.
And you'll see epic fight scenes in a school between the two factions, and of course the old leader, the old sensei for Johnny, comes back around causing problems. He's still a dick. Yeah, Kreese plays a great bad guy, still does. You hate him, but he's so good, and that's why. But it is overall, I think, well done, and it's something fun for sure. So
and they're easy to watch. They're only like 25 minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can knock them out. Bang, bang, bang.
Right.
Yeah, so they've done a good job there. That almost what I hate, though, about shows like this is you can binge watch them and you're done in a day, and now you're like, now what? Now I got to wait like 6 months to a year. So I need to do a better job of pacing myself and staying up with it when they come out, one per week. But is what it is. All right, so that's it for Cobra Kai. And now to kind of wrap things up, let me see here. Where is it? Oh, no. Oh, there we go. Got it. All right. It's time for your Dumbass Criminal of the Week, everyone. So this week, and once again, this is brought to you. He loves this part, which is always amazes me, but he loves it. But Bill Atwood, once again, North Wayne Insurance Agency. When you're dealing with dumbass criminals, you better have some insurance, and he's your man to see. So this week, guys, the headline states, drunk Arkansas men, it says it all when you say Arkansas.
That's a start, yep.
Yeah, drunk Arkansas men shoot each other to test bulletproof vests.
Perfect.
Yeah. So after a night of drinking, 2 Arkansas men decided to test the durability of a bulletproof vest. Always a great idea. Lane, you know about this. By shooting each other. Rogers residents Charles Eugene Ferris, 50, and Christopher Hicks, 36, ended up in the hospital where they told investigators they were shot after they were hired for a secret mission that involved someone following them through Hobbs State Park, according to the Benton County Sheriff's Office. But when Ferris's wife showed up at the hospital, she had a different story to tell. The men had been drinking on Ferris's back porch when he asked Hicks to shoot him. Although the vest stopped the bullet, it still left a painful mark on Ferris's chest. That upset Ferris, so when Hicks put on the vest, Ferris unloaded the clip into Christopher's back, according to an affidavit. Both men were arrested and charged with felony aggravated assault. Before releasing them on $5,000 bond, a judge issued a no-contact order between the men. They each face up to 6 years in prison, a maximum $10,000 fine. So the question to you guys is, what's the dumbest thing you've done when drunk? And maybe that's for another time, and maybe that's things we don't need to talk about on live air. But I haven't done that, I don't think. I've done some dumb stuff, but yeah, so that's your dumbass criminal of the week. So.
Never shot someone drunk or not drunk, or
even with a vest on to test it out. That just doesn't seem like a good idea.
Right. I think even our blackout pissed drunk, I would know better than that.
Just amazing. So
Arkansas, what the hell is he gonna do?
I go say ain't nothing else going on. Yeah. Right. So notice they're not on the vacation spots for Best in America. They missed out. They
Jonesboro
got in. number 33. Just missed the fact. You hate to see it, but it happens. All right. And our next spot that we thought we'd throw in is brought to you by Delaney Snow Removal. For your entertainment needs, Delaney Snow Removal. We may not do it right, but we'll get it done and probably hurt ourselves. So, but Delaney, we thought we'd give you a chance every week to talk about your bourbon of choice tonight. And real quick, what do you got, and what can you say about it?
So this, you can hardly see very well. This it's a bourbon called it's from a distillery called Driftless Glen, which is a distillery it's kind of by the Wisconsin Dells. You know where that at? It's about an hour and a half from me. Mm-hmm. And they're pretty young. They started out in like 2012. They have a pretty cool story. Actually, Dick and I went and did a tour with them about a month or so ago. And they apparently the long story is they had some investors bought this land. They realized the soil is really, really very similar to what they have in Kentucky. So they said, well, let's open a distillery. And it's become very popular. And when we went down there, I got this cast strength one. It's like was 100 and 105 proof. Distiller selected. It's only a 4.5 years, so it's a little young, but it's very good. It's very, very good. It's a higher rye one, which I'm more of like a wheater. I like wheater. It's a little bit better, a little sweeter, but this is very good. And I'm plowing through this, and I'm going to have to go down and drive down there and get another one probably.
Damn it. That breaks your heart, I'm sure.
You know, right.
Yeah, and one of our watchers, Zach Gabrielson, said he just had a pour of Driftless Glen as well. So I hope he enjoyed
Zach
it.
is a friend of mine. Yeah, he's I got him to grab one of those bottles the other day. He got a different barrel. This is a barrel select. He got a different barrel, so I'm gonna see if I can get a taste of his too. Maybe I'll just have to get another one too.
Nice. And that leads us before Lane does his part. Next week, we are going to have on one guest for sure to join us, Todd Volk, my former boss, to be on. I also got one that I'm working on, a guy that has a podcast that is a whiskey, bourbon, Scotch aficionado who's out of New Jersey. We'll see. Hopefully he can make it. If not, it's fine. But tomorrow we're going to focus on bourbons, and we're going to do some tastings. We're going to describe, kind of it as well. So if you're into bourbon, get you a bottle, join us with it. We'd love to hear your feedback on what you're going to be drinking that night. And hopefully with these two guys that we have on, could be a little more educational as well about bourbon itself, how it's made, how to, pour it properly, how to let it breathe. Do you add a little water to it? There's so many things to it, to properly do it. Me, I like to pour it in there and drink the shit, but that's just me. I'm a classy individual. But there are ways, that's right. But so next week we look forward to that. And of course we'll highlight that, as we go forward. But Lane Pye, what do you got for us to close the show out tonight?
So just going to kind of make this as brief. I wrote basically an essay that I can share later, but just to want to kind of tie some things together and some stuff that we've all been going through for the last year, and kind of give somebody some, let's blend on something a little bit positive. So essentially, as fate would have it, I was trying to look for my segment, which is like a feel good story for the week or something like that. And I'm plowing through Cobra Kai while I'm doing my cardio. Shout out to Build the Machine group. And not to spoil things, but there's a moment when Daniel's life's just not going the best. All right. So he thinks things are going out of control. He doesn't know where to go. And he goes to Miyagi's, to the cemetery to visit Miyagi. And in that time, they flash back to when Miyagi's telling him about balance. And that balance means karate, and balance means life. And, your life has balance. And it made me start thinking, look, 2020 has been as unbalanced of anything as we've had. We have all of this stuff getting flooded in our faces, all of this negativity. And I started to think about it. I'm like, well, what's going on? Well, here's my opinion. And then again, I'm not going to try and preach to anybody, but we are constantly getting flooded through news media and through social media of the bad 10% that's going on in this world. And we don't see, based off COVID and stuff, which is understandable, we don't see the good 90%. So we're out of balance. So what do we need to do to kind of bring that back? And so here was my thoughts. And again, I'm not a guru. I'm not a life coach. I'm not any of those things, but here's some things just thinking back on the year. What are we coming up with? Balance is essential for us to basically have a productive life, a productive lifestyle, all those things. And we need that balance. We need those things to kind of show us and put life back in perspective. So how do we regain that balance? Well, in my opinion, we have to do a few things. And first, we have to focus on controlling those things that we can control. We have to focus on taking control of those things, and that really revolves around us. And I see three pillars in this that we can focus on to get ourselves back into balance. And first is our body. Build the Machine. We're having people work out. Look, it's workout, healthy life choices with food and all of these other things to make our body back in balance, right? If we can accomplish those things, we're going to have some good health results, and all of those things are going to come around to it. And let's listen, if you're having some problems with that, go get a doctor or a trainer or whatever you need to bring your body back to where it needs to be. Number two, our mind. We constantly have this stuff thrown at us, and our minds probably race. We have anxiety. We have all of these things that we're dealing with. Now, everyday normal life, we have anxiety. We have stress through our jobs, stress through finances, stress with relationships, all of those things. Don't compound that stress by going on social media and getting fired up about all the negative stuff that you see. Mute that stuff. Don't get involved in conversations which are nothing but flame wars. I mean, if it's about sports, fine. But if it's about things that's really getting you upset, just avoid that. Bring everything back to center, right? And once you start doing that, you're going to have a more positive outlook on things. And if your mind rests, your body will rest at night. Sleep goes back to health. We're starting to rebalance those two. And the final thing, and this is where it's a lot different for a lot of different people. Actually, let me back up a little bit on the mind thing. If you're having anxiety to the point where you're having some really difficult times that you're going through, don't be hesitant. Don't be shy. Don't be embarrassed to go out and find professional help. There's a lot of people through these times with all the anxiety and all the stress going on. They have to go out and talk to counselors. If that's what you need, go out, find those resources that are going to help you. And third and final, it's your spiritual outlook. Now, whatever that is, if that's you going to church, if that's you praying, if that's you reading the Bible, if that's you meditating, if that's you just having time to yourself, get that last part of your life right. We need to take time for ourselves. We need to refocus for ourselves. We're doing it through our body. We're doing it through our mind. You do it through whatever spiritual thing you believe in or whatever what finds that inner peace. If you do those three things, in my opinion, it brings everything into focus of what matters and what's the priorities of life. And if you focus on those, you will have a much happier outcome as we go into this next year and hopefully get past this past year.
Fantastic.
Lane.
Wise words from a wise man. I love it. So,
Thanks,
yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. So, guys, great job tonight. That was a fun show. Everybody out there that watched, we appreciate it. Share the show if you would. If you enjoy it, share it with your friends. And, we just keep building going on. Once again, these shirts are in. If you want one, let me know. $15 if I just bring it to you. If I got to, mail it, probably be closer to 20. So if you want one, I've got all the sizes and all that stuff, and we will go from there. So once again, thank you to everybody out there. We appreciate it. We'll see you again next week. Next week is bourbon night. So have your bourbon ready and join us. We'll have a good time with that. And we've got some other things coming your way as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. So hope you enjoyed the show. We will see you next week. Lane Daddy, get us out of here, baby. Thanks, everybody.
Everybody have a good evening.